Hey everyone, welcome to Mastering the Art of Groups. I am so excited today to have my special guest, Mike Kelly. If you guys don't know Mike Kelly, he is the man behind the scenes. Him and his wife, Erin, run an amazing platform that I absolutely love and absolutely use. And I'm in that platform every day, and it's called Membervault. And I wanted to share one thing real quick before I get Mike started with some amazing tips on his amazing Facebook group, just how we met. A few, no, actually, I'll say a long time ago.
Yeah, checking my watch.
No, for me, I had to go way back, even before.
Oh, okay.
So way back when I was building a Facebook group for my past business, I remember buying this Facebook group course. Well, I dug out that course about 2.5 years ago, and it was a course called Screw the 9 to 5. And they had this Facebook group course, and I was running through it to see if I still was in alignment with what they had to say. So I joined their group, and their group was like the best group ever, right? And then they had a membership, and I joined the membership because I knew I was launching this new business. It was time for me to get into some, the people that I respected and loved and looked up to, especially with Facebook groups. And so I joined this membership, and I remember you being in this membership. And there are quite a few of us that I've met in that one membership that I'm still connected with 2.5 years later. And it's been so much fun watching your business just explode. And me, I'm enjoying being a part of it because I use your product. So that we met in a Facebook group. I loved it. It was way back when the story started, but you obviously didn't know that part. But yeah, we met in a Facebook group, and it's been amazing to watch your business grow. And then on top of that, being a part of your business, watching your Facebook group and being a part of your Facebook group is one of my highlights of the day. I'm really picky with my groups, right? You only can spend a certain amount of time a day in groups, and your group is one of those. So welcome, Mike, to Mastering the Art of Groups. I wanted you to share your story, and then let's get into some best practices and how how your membership has grown and what that looks like. So welcome.
Well, thank you. And thank you so much for the introduction. I always love hearing these backstories, right? And isn't that just like the power of community? And I know coming into the Screwed 9 to 5, which was an amazing group. Like I didn't regret signing up for that. Sometimes you buy something and you kind of have FOMO afterwards, and you're like,
why did I do that?
Yeah, that was a late night click. Whoops, exactly. But the 9 to 5 was not like that. And I was in it until they closed it down, And but it's just that power of community, and the connections that I made there are still alive to this very day. And that has a lot to do with why Membervault, we still today have never run a Facebook ad or any ad. We've literally our ad budget is zero. And yet our growth is, and it's community. Like it's absolutely, it's naturally community. Yeah. So, anyway, so that's really cool. But yeah, what do you want me to talk about?
So share a little bit about your company.
Okay.
Where you started, why you guys started this, and what it is, and then we'll go into the Facebook group stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I'll give you the short version. There's so many versions
right.
of that.
I know.
So Membervault is we're calling it a relationship marketing platform. It's a place where you can put all of your digital products, whether that be free offers or paid offers or memberships or ebooks, whatever that digital product or service is. Maybe you're a coach. Whatever that digital product or service is, you can put it inside of Membervault. And what we've done is we've engineered Membervault not to just be like a bunch of squeeze pages and landing pages, or, you know, disconnected things like that, where it's like you just send them to like buy something there. It's not just an e-commerce store. We've very intentionally built it so it's like a hub where you can kind of like pop in, binge on stuff, and then buy stuff as you want. And that's just like, we've just kind of like refined that over the years. So we're about 4 years ago, we built like version 1 of this, 0.1 maybe. And my wife, Erin, she was working with someone, Adrienne Dorson, who's, you know, she's with Mike McCowitz now she's doing amazing stuff. Anyway, they were having a struggle where they just didn't like the course tools that were out there. You know, there was like, there were at the time, like 4 years ago, I'm just like trying to rewind myself back there.
Right.
There was a lot of like WordPress plugins that like were super janky. Like they didn't work very well, or like you had to worry about all the tech garbage. And then there was like all-in-one kind of platforms that like you paid out the nose for and you used 2% of, and you didn't have a lot of control. So it's like, Erin's telling me this one night, and me being a developer, you know, I write code, and I was like, oh, I could build something. I was like, well, what do you want it to do? And she's like, well, I'd love it. We could do this, this, and this. And her big thing is, because Erin's a big email marketing genius nerd, is she's like, I wish there was a way where we could like automatically tag people when they did a certain thing in Active Campaign, so we could put them in an automation and do stuff. And so, you know, me being a computer nerd, I just like looked up, I was like, oh, that's easy. Like I could build that in a weekend. You know, 4 years later, I'm still working on it, but you know how those projects go. But no, we did. We had like version 1 of that was really basic. We really never intended to resell this. We never intended this to be a platform. We were literally just building one thing for one client to be like, cool, this should do it. And and then that was it. And it just sat there for a while, and Adrienne loved it and her users loved it. But I mean, it was rough around the edges. It was just a quick thing. And then it wasn't really until I had like since went and got a 9-to-5 somewhere as a developer, and I was miserable. It was after my son was born, and I was like, I hung up my freelance thing, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to work for myself anymore. It's too much hassle. I'm going to find the perfect job, settle in, and collect a paycheck. You know that deal. I lasted 3 months, and I was miserable. I quit. And Erin was like, I will take over, like making, you know what I mean? Like, go ahead, quit. You don't need to work. You watch the baby, because this is right after Connor, our first one was born. You watch the baby and I'll work, you know? And I was like, fine. And so I started working on Membervault again during nap times. But it was literally just like a, you know, like a, you know,
hobby.
It was a hobby for fun.
And
it got enough attention where like people were like, oh, I want to use this too. And I was like, I mean, I guess I can install it on your site too. And, you know, and we got to this critical mass where we're like, let's try to do like a real beta test and see. The rest is kind of history.
And now you're one of those platforms that, you know, it's so much fun to see in other Facebook groups when a mass number of people, when that question comes up, what platform do you use? And I know for myself, over the last 10 years, I've tried them all, right? And when I see Membervault come up in the comments, I like this one little cheer for me. Yes. And I have to add my additional comment. Because what I love, one of many things that I love about this product is, I know you say it started as this hobby, and you just kind of worked on it, and you worked on it, it's still this project. Well, the reason why it's still this project is because you listen to your users. And one of my biggest, one of the things I love the most about Facebook groups and about utilizing Facebook groups is the ability to listen to your people and the ability to adjust and tweak. I mean, I just did like a super little tiny example that just happened this week. I have a strategy is called a campfire strategy. And I just happened to post this question in the group that it said, what do you think when you hear the word campfire? Well, I didn't realize that the word campfire actually triggered some people because they lived in an area that was really hardly hit with a campfire. The campfire fire.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm mortified.
Yeah.
I feel so bad. So what did I do? I'm changing the name to Glampfire because of that one little tiny conversation I had in my group. So that's at a very minuscule level, but I know that you actually change and tweak things on your platform based on user feedback. And I know that, I've been super happy with some of the changes, and they weren't even on my radar, but when you made the change, I was like, yes, this is perfect. So I love the fact that you listen to your group members and you make this product, based on their needs versus like, it's this, it's this, and that's what it is, right? You don't feel like, you're one small fish in a big pond. You actually feel like we have some ownership in it, right? And when you have some ownership in anything, you're gonna speak about it on the rooftops. I think that's probably why you've never had to advertise. Is one of the many reasons is that you listen and adjust and tweak and make. You don't change everything, and I love your approach at that. So thank you for sharing your history. I love to hear the history of where people started, how they are, where they are, and where they're going, right? And actually, that's very inspiring to hear that that you don't have a Facebook ad budget. Because most people are like, I have to run Facebook ads. I mean, I'm one of them. I ran them for years, and then I get frustrated. And I love word of mouth, and the fact that you've been able to do that is just exceptional.
We tried to run a Facebook ad one time. Like, we hired somebody, and it was like the whole thing, and like there was some login issue. Facebook, sometimes you can get into the little black hole of like, you're never going to get help with this issue. Because you can't call anybody on Facebook. And like we had some ad that we were trying to run, and it got like locked somehow, and nobody could get into it, and we were like, oh, the hell with it. Like it was literally, we almost launched one ad, and it was literally just to be like, I guess we should be doing this. Maybe we should retire.
Yeah, that's exactly how most people feel. Like, I think we're supposed to do this.
Yeah,
that's what everybody's doing.
But instead, we really do spend that time to really connect with our users, to really, it doesn't matter how big your audience is. You can spend more time in that audience. So instead of this like hungry for more leads, like, oh, I need 1,000 more leads so I can get my 4% conversion on that. And everyone's got these blown out spreadsheets and stuff like that. And it's like, or you could focus on the 1,000 leads you have and figure out what they really want and what triggers them, and connect with them. And maybe that 4% will be 8%. And then you'll need half as many, it's
exactly. I think we only look at that one person, but in your case, and in most communities, that one person can lead to 10 other people or more. And just by that word of mouth, because you've spent that time. I love that, because we are always looking for more leads and looking for, what's the best percentage of conversion, where you're spending all this time just working on that one thing, and you may miss that percentage, this week or next week. You may hit it tomorrow, you may not. The ads may work today, but you spending that time in your group and listening and just being there, your customer service, the people that you have. It's just exceptional. So,
and Membervault is, I was going to say, what you were saying earlier is, I think at this point, probably about 90% of Membervault is built from user feedback. Like, we bootstrapped this like real basic idea. And again, and most of this comes from Erin, because she's just so wise. She's the visionary. I'm the implementer, right? And she can so see like these realities, but like it's very much directed and community driven. Like I'm glad that comes across, that we're very, I don't think like, oh, I'm building Membervault. Like, it's like we're building Membervault.
Yeah.
Like, it's very much a community thing, to the point where when we went to go do our big redesign a few months ago at the top of the year, which I'm so happy with, and we spent months trying to network to find the right guy, the right person to like redesign it. And before we launched anything, we had like a big, like, we like let our users in on the redesign before anything went live. And I'm so glad that we did, because like a lot of good conversation came out of that.
Right.
Like, oh, what about this? And I'm like, we never thought about that. Like the designer never thought about that.
Right.
Like,
the fact that you are receptive of that too. A lot of people get defensive. Maybe you have this vision of what you want it to look like. And when people say, well, maybe you should do it this way, maybe you should do it that way, they get defensive and say, well, no, that's not where I was headed. But instead you go, oh, accept that as it is and go, that's a great suggestion. I think also, when it comes to those kind of things and the transparency that you have, it really shows when your group members show up for you. When people come in, people will come, I've seen it, people will come in and they're like, I really wish you would change this, this, and this. And the direction of that or of that post, you can see all of those backers go, wait a minute, no, this is their plan. We all are on board with your plan. And the fact that you have them coming to your defense where you don't even have to shows a lot about how you guys show up in your group. Because if we weren't in the know, none of us would have those answers, oh, you can find it here, or you've got a lot of legs on the ground because you are so transparent and utilize your audience. It's so much fun to watch when you see a post where someone's, they're new to the community and they're used to, it's not really their issue. They're just used to a certain way of being in a group of a platform, right? Where you're like, oh, I wish, not thinking that the people that run the platform or own the platform are actually in that group. Yeah. Right. But we all know you are. So we're all going to come to your defense and say, hey, wait, that's not, and it just goes to show that overall, it's not only that you're building the product, around your members, but your members are part of the product. Your members are part of the solution. It's like you've nailed community when it comes to your products. A lot of people have great communities when it comes to their brand, right? They build audiences and they'll come to their rescue because they want to defend the person as the brand, as as that leader. But you as a product it's kind of unheard of, right? I don't see that happening on any other platform.
It's funny that you say that. And I believe a lot of this comes from just Aaron and I's just morals about how we want to run something to begin with, is we're almost aggressively transparent. There are times where Aaron and I will ask each other, is that too much? Maybe that's too transparent. Maybe we should start being more of a grown-up company and hide all this. And we never do. And so, and I think that, and I know one of the things that Aaron and I talked about just before this is, one of our policies is we'll never delete a post. I see this in a lot of groups where a troll will come in and then a bunch of people jump on. It's customer service here sucks. And then all of a sudden the post goes away. And it's those kinds of things deteriorate, I can say that, trust. They really, really do. And I'll never forget the time the first really not aggressive, but a really just flat out troll came into our group, and he was roasting me for doing a training video in my garage. I had a whiteboard in my garage, and I was in the garage because we had an infant at the time who was sleeping. You know what I mean? And I was like, well, I'm not gonna I want to do this training. I want to deliver the value. I don't have
right,
glamorous place to do this, but the garage, so what? Like
yeah,
Microsoft started in
yeah,
the garage.
yeah,
Nirvana
exactly,
started in the garage.
yeah,
Like,
exactly,
all right, it's okay, you know? And it's like, I'd rather get this out there and help people, even if it's in my garage. And so this guy came in and he was like, I think it's super unprofessional that you're in your garage doing this thing. And, you know, some rough edges on this platform. And the thing is that he's right. Like,
right,
if I didn't know anything about Membervault and I just kind of came in, I assumed, I reframed it and I took it as a compliment. I'm like, you think we're at this level of like,
that's fantastic,
like you, yes,
yeah, you don't
you're
think of it that
comparing,
way.
you're comparing us against Teachable and Kajabi and all these people that have millions of dollars
Yep,
in
yep,
venture capital funding.
yep.
You're comparing us at the same level as them. Thank you. I'm
Yeah,
honored
exactly. And now you know
because,
the real truth.
and now you know, but
Yeah.
everybody jumped on and they were like, and they,
Well, I think
we beat him. And actually, I think he ended up becoming a paid user.
yeah.
I'm no joke. I think he actually became one of our founding 100 members
Yeah.
after that, because in the group, he was like, wow, okay, I didn't realize, like, I apologize. I might have judged too early.
Right.
But I think there, to your point, that's the power of the group.
Yeah.
And, you know, we foster that by being really transparent with our users. And again, we can't do every feature that everybody wants. Like, it's just not possible. We'd end up with this weird camel. You know, there has to be some order, but we're always listening.
Yeah, it's so.
And if we screw up, we're just honest about it, you know? And so it's just been, we don't want to burden people with like our problems, you know, like.
Right. Woe is me.
Yeah. But like involving them in the process.
Yeah.
And this time, actually almost exactly this time last year, we were at that weird growth place where we weren't making enough money. Like, there was that, like, I'm like, all right, this is when software companies get funding. Right. Like, this is why this happens, because of the scale issue. You got to get to the next plateau before you run out of money. Right. And since we were self-funded, like, how do we do that? Right. And so we were doing all the paperwork, and it was like a big racket to try to get investors. And Aaron had the idea. I was like, what if we try to raise that money by selling like special, like, you know, 100 lifetime accounts that are unlimited. We'll never do this again. Right. But like, and we sold out in less than a month.
I watched that. Yeah. That was, it was amazing. You went to your community.
But it was really scary to say, like, listen, we're trying to raise this money so we can keep the lights on, so we can grow, so we can get to the next level, so we can invest in a redesign, so we can truly compete at the level that we want to compete at, and you all benefit from it. Right. And but that was really scary. It's a very vulnerable thing to do.
For sure.
Open that up.
For sure. You're like, either they're gonna love this or they're not. And then what do we do next? Because we're already exposed.
You can't take it back. Like, well, just kidding.
but you built, I'm huge on building a great foundational group. You know, I mean, your group started with you and Aaron, right? Like that, you started with only two, and then you built it, and you built this foundation, and you knew exactly what you wanted, and you had this vision. And by building that foundation, when the time came that you needed them in your corner the most, they showed up, you know? Yeah. So you laid it out for them, right? Or, you know, to have this experience. And so in saying that, can you give us an example of, you know, who your group is really, who they consist of? Because I know that you offer, you know, you can utilize your product for free. So your group is, explain who are the members of your group? Because I love, like, my listeners, is it a free group? Is it a paid group? You know, explain.
It's really, and it's changed. So the Membervault group at first was only for paid users, right? And this is part of our growth, right? As a platform, was what do we put behind the paywall and what do we have out front, right? And this was a big shift in our focus with going user focused rather than, you know what I mean, business focused.
Yep.
And so that's when we started, like, that's when we introduced our free plan. That's when we took limits out of our free plan, like feature limits. Like, we're not going to block features for the free plan. Like, sure, we'll limit it on users. Like, you have to put the paywall at some place or else you won't survive. But where you put that paywall is very important. So like, it felt really goofy to block features because of this paywall. Like, we were like, oh, if you want to use Stripe and PayPal, you have to upgrade. But then how are people truly going to test the product if they can't use all the features? So like, we're just shooting ourselves in the foot and really making our potential new users, like, we're making them run around the block to try to use this free plan. And it just felt wrong. And at the same time, we did the same thing with the collaborative, with our Membervault group, our Facebook group, because we're like, new user, any paid user is going to come through the free plan, right? Like, they will be free users at some point. Like, they've all been there. And so we have to help them. We have to help everybody. And then, you know what I mean? A certain number of them will come up. But it's just like, our greater mission is to help, you know, businesses grow, is to help them simplify their systems, is to help them get excited when they see that engagement. I mean, those are the things, like, when people post their big wins, they're like, oh, I got my first sale on Membervault today. Like, those are my favorite things to see. I like them more than I like seeing the new sales coming in, because like, because I'm like, this is what it was about the whole time. And I value our free users just as much as our paid users. Like, we need the paid users, of course, but the free users are still using the software. They're still giving us feedback. They're still spending their time. They're still engaging in the community. I'll never forget the time, like, somebody talked about, they were just really happy because they were excited that they finally had to upgrade, because they had this baby little business and they used our free plan for, I think, like, I looked it up, it was like over a year. It was like 380 something days. And they used it for over a year on the free plan and finally had to upgrade. And they were excited to upgrade because they're like, I finally
made it.
I made it here with you guys.
There's some validation in their business that, like, they've accomplished that, you know?
And other SaaS companies might be, you had that free rider on your server using your customer service in your community for a year. And I'm like, but it's the long game. Like,
I mean, now you have them for life, you know?
Right. Like, I mean, who knows, right? Like, you can only, can only count the chickens you have right now, but like, and that's fine. But so we shifted it to free and paid users. And then we recently opened it up to literally anyone who wanted to join, because we realized that some people wanted to kind of see what was going on before even signing up for a free account. Which I understand.
I noticed that. I have a lot of group members that end up in Membervault, and I, because I use it. And so it's all, and I speak to small business owners who are, starting their Facebook group typically, and they end up in your platform and they go, okay, well, if she can do it, okay, what is she using? I can do it. Okay, what is this Membervault thing? And it makes it really easy that you guys do have kind of that sneak peek in there. And you have all of these members who are behind you 100%. So they're not only signing up for this thing that other people are using, they're signing up for that experience, to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that, So I commend you for making those tweaks. A lot of people, I think, there's these two camps. Mostly the big camp is that you should have your group should be the paid group, because those are the only people that show up, right? And I am a huge against the grain fan of build that free group. It's possible. And yes, your people will show up. And so I feel like a lot of the times I'm going uphill, in trying to convince people that a free group is actually profitable. So I love, and I had thought about that. I love the fact that you have both, and
Right.
I now have both because I like to spend my time in that one group, and I don't like to have multiple groups, for one product and have a separate group, because I can't show up the same way as I show up in that group.
Right.
Guys, all your questions can go in the one big group, and there's nothing wrong with that, because it shows that you have members, right? It shows that you have paid members. It shows that people are using your product. And those questions, there are so many people that are just watching, and those questions are being asked and answered. And so, it takes that extra question to your customer service off the table, because it's already happening.
And here's the thing that I don't understand, why more businesses, especially product creating businesses, don't honor. To me, if somebody off the street hears about Membervault, pops into our Facebook group and asks a question, they haven't paid us $1 yet or whatever, to me that is gold.
It's gold.
Because those are like, I can never look at Membervault with newbie eyes. Like, it's just impossible. I just can't
100%.
do it. And so I respect the hell out of that feedback that comes from new users. I'm like, what would it be like to discover Membervault right now?
Yeah.
I don't know. But those are the things where I can't even tell you how many epiphanies Aaron and I have had from green new users coming in and being like,
market research. It's the perfect.
I don't get this and this. It's a little confusing. And I'm like, you know what it is? It's not confusing to us because I built every line of code of this thing. Right. So it's never going to be confusing.
You're looking at it with different eyes. Yeah, absolutely.
I think people are giving their time. That is valuable. And to think about how many times businesses sit around in a boardroom or something, I wonder what our users want. It's they'll tell you.
Yeah. And they spend all this money, sending out these surveys.
The surveys crack me up because
nobody answers them. I never answer surveys. But if someone asks a question in the group, those are the first things you jump on, because we're real humans, and the way that we word our questions are exactly like, what we're experiencing, and you can't duplicate that in a survey. So it's and I love when people ask in other groups, market research, and then ask a question. But when you can just have that market research in your own group, and
this is what we do in Membervault too. We always urge people to put quiz questions, and we built that feature to get that feedback loop inside of Membervault. Yeah. Because the other problem I think with surveys is it's after the fact. It's Monday morning quarterbacking. Right.
You don't remember.
Get them while they're there. While they're hey, I just signed up. I joined this Facebook group. This is all fresh to me now. If you send me a survey in a week, I'm either not going to remember or not going to care to give you that. It's not fresh.
Right.
Why wouldn't you? Timing is very important on this stuff.
I always love, actually, I love that you brought that up, because you do have things that are different than anyone else. And those quiz questions, I always like to look at them on how am I going to get the most information from my users. I do always think, I wonder if you guys are watching these, because they're great. They're great answers, and they do give great feedback as far as, how your product is working. But for a user of your platform, it's some people are shy and they don't want to share in the Facebook group, but they'll share in this thinking nobody's actually reading it. I love that. People think that nobody actually reads it. And then when you, I love this. When you reply with an email, they're like, oh my gosh, they're actually reading this. So that is brilliant. And again, it's really this back and forth feedback so that you're making the most perfect product. And you're that, you read my mind, right?
Right. It's no, we just listened. You said it.
Yeah, exactly. I know, but we like to say, yes, I read your mind.
Right. Yeah, sure.
So can you share some best practice, some of the things that work really well in your group, and how you get, if it's the type of engagement and the type of support that you do get in your group? Can you share some best practices of what you guys?
Sure. Well, I mean, the first is not to overly we have some pretty strict guidelines around self-promotion, because one of the things that I know I've seen in a lot of groups is it becomes a spam fest. And we've cultivated this, but we're also lucky about the people that we have in there, where sometimes somebody new will kind of come in and do something a little spammy, and it's so funny. People report it, and it falls on deaf ears. Like our community really does not allow that, but we allow people to share their Membervault, their free Membervault products, because that's helpful to the community, because people can see, oh, you set it up like that. That's so cool. Like, we're all using the same tool. So it's great to see examples. If somebody new comes in, like, oh, there's a great example of one being set up. And then, again, if you end up getting leads and sales from that, which a lot of people do, great. But it came from a place of service instead of a place of selling. And so I think that's one of the big, it's a trick. It's a hairy, it's a fuzzy line.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a fuzzy line sometimes, but I feel like we walk it really well. And big props to Katrina and Aaron, and Ira really now too, because our team, if there's a potentially spammy post, there's a powwow about it. There's a little what should we do about this? And so we take that kind of stuff seriously. We don't delete anything. So if somebody comes in and they are nasty or negative or something like that, the gut reaction is let's pull it, let's censor it, but instead we don't. And the other thing that I know I do is, because I have spent 4 years of my life building this. It's very personal to me, but you can't take it personally.
Right.
And so I think that's, I'll take a walk around the block before I respond to something like that. But I always respond with curiosity, helpfulness, you never go, I'll kill them with kindness. And I've had people get just more pissed as I'm being nice to them. And that's fine. But that's on them. But I think that helps the community see that we're not going to beat anybody up here.
Right. Yeah. It's still a safe space.
It's a safe space. If you're frustrated by something, that's okay. You're allowed to be frustrated by something, right? We get it. We're only here to help. And even if you call us mean words, we're still just here to help. And so I think that's a big thing that's hard for humans to do. But I think it's an important thing that we really try to do.
It's a good point, because I think that Facebook groups do become and flat out, they become this personal thing. That's why so many people quit their Facebook group, because they feel like nobody's watching. I mean, they feel judged. They feel like nobody's watching, nobody's showing up, and they take it very personal. And so I love your approach. And I see it, I witness it, that I get your frustration, and you're really good about asking the question. Well, just explain, why I feel that way. And I know for me, I have deleted. It's very rare that I get anything nasty.
Yeah.
It's very, very select. I'm kind of the opposite.
Who could be mean to you? I just
I'm very
show
selective.
me the person.
It happens. I'm very selective with who enters the group. If you don't answer my 3 questions, you don't get in the group.
Yeah.
That's it. And my group numbers are smaller than most. I mean, I decline people all the time because they don't answer the question.
Yeah.
So
Katrina's our gatekeeper. She's she'll reach out to them. You didn't answer the question.
Yeah, I don't even bother with that. I give it a week, and then that's it. Because if they really want back in, they'll ask questions. Yeah. So I don't really, that for me, it is the gatekeeper. It's keeping those people out. So I don't see it as much, but every once in a while someone shows up and you're like, how did this person get through here? But I'm going to take a lesson from your playbook and not delete things, and really, because I know that there are people in my corner that I know, love what I have. And I think that's a great lesson for most. It's just, don't take things personal. Yeah. Right. It's still a business, and you're there to serve, right? You're there to serve, and you can't help it if someone had a bad day or,
And I will say, there's always an exception, right? Because I say, oh, we don't delete posts, and we don't. But I was just imagining, if somebody came in and started putting some racial slurs
Of
or like
course.
something like, I'm like, no, that's not okay. Like, you know, so like, I understand that but if it's a personal butthurt,
right.
you know, ooh, you said something mean about Membervault, like, we're not going to react like that. I've seen that in other groups, and it comes across, it really makes me distrust them when tools will delete any negative comment, like post, and I'm just like, you're just hiding, like, you're curating your reviews. That's like, that's really dishonest, you know? And so, yeah, I really don't like that. I think the other big thing for us, and I think a lot of people need to kind of figure this out with their groups, especially as they grow, is boundaries. And that's boundaries on like what we'll answer in the group. It's a little challenging for us because our group is somewhere in between like community, let's talk about things, and then it can devolve into customer support,
right?
Like software support,
Right.
And while that we allow a lot of it, right? Because it'd be like, especially if it helps a lot of people, hey, how do I embed a Google Calendar or something like that? I know people like will search through our Facebook group for help docs. Yeah, see, you do too. And because there's a great conversation about it. And so like anything that can like generally help everybody, I'm okay. But we've had to draw the line sometimes where people are like, oh, things aren't getting into my Aweber account through this list, like very specific to that person. And it's like, reach out to support. Like, we're happy to help you with that issue, but like, we're not going to debug this on Facebook right now. Like, it's a personal issue for you. And then setting the expectations. I know I can show up too much in the group sometimes and create a codependent relationship where people just think they can pop in and tag me and I'll immediately answer the question. And I'm like, in an hour, like they'll tag me again. And they're like, Mike's still waiting on this. I'm like, listen, I love the support. Like I give this my all, but like, I can't answer. Like, I'm not always in the group. When I'm with my kids, I don't have my phone on me. It's very important to strike that balance. Yeah.
I love that you do that. Yeah.
It's important. It's really important. And, you know, again, if I wake up in the middle of the night, sometimes I'll answer some stuff too. Like, you know, but like, it's important to have those boundaries. And like the Facebook group it's supplementary. We really want users to help each other too. Mm-hmm. And there are some just killer rock star users in there that just, we see showing up all the time. And so that's really cool. And we try to foster that, right? So sometimes there's like a big softball question where I'm like, oh, that's a really easy one to answer. And I won't answer it because I'm like, I want the community to like help, you know? So there's a little bit of training there. It's like when your kid's struggling with something, you're like, well, I want to help them, but like, I got to let them figure it out too.
Yeah. I think at first we're really excited that people are actually showing up and they're actually asking those questions, but it does get to a point where you do need to just, you know what, I'm just going to sit back on this one. Yeah. And then I know it's there. If nobody addresses it and it kind of falls away, then I'll go back to it and just kind of give it a little bit of a, you know, I love the fact that you asked this question. Sorry, I was busy. I don't use my phone when I'm with my kids. You know, you reiterate your boundaries.
Yeah.
And then everybody gets it. So I totally get that. And that for me, that's taken 10 years of running Facebook groups to get it well, because you know, when you're first building a business, you just want that, activity, you want that engagement. But there are times where I'm just like, you know what?
Right. And
I am on, but I don't have enough brain power. I'm just going to let this one see what happens in the morning and see if anybody actually, you know, responds, and usually they do. So,
right. And then how to like direct people too. Like, I know another big thing is, because we're so transparent, and connected with our users, and a lot of our new features and enhancements in the platform come from feedback. Right. And that can create a situation where our Facebook becomes just like people just blurting out what features they want. And that's cool, right? Like we don't want to censor anybody. Like, you can come in and say whatever you want, but we also want to have like that's not where we store that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we have a feature request form.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, we can thank them for that, but like redirect your attention over to here. We honest to God, look at that. Every time we sit down and plan new features, we pull in this data. If we just leave it here, it's going to get lost. So like,
well,
so, but having a plan for that, you know, like before we had a plan for that, it was really hard because I'm like, well, I don't want people to feel unheard.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I don't want people to feel like they're just talking into the void, but there's no way on earth that we can keep up all these little
the other thing though, I think on top of that, and it kind of goes along with like, you know, the entry level questions, if they really, really wanted that change and it wasn't just like this, you know, it'd be great, and they throw it out there. If they really, really wanted that change, then they're going to take that extra effort and go fill out the form that says, please update this. So then you actually have a more, you know, more the most important ideas that your users have. And like you said, it's great that they're voicing their concerns, but if they really, really want it, they're going to take that extra step so that you know, all right, this is important enough that they've taken that extra step and filled out that.
And so many of these feature requests are the same ones.
Right.
So like when they all funnel in the same spot, like we can kind of be like, okay, there's like 12 people that want this. There's 6 people that want that. So it's like, oh, we can weight things too. Like what's going to be the greatest good. So, but having people feel seen and heard. And then we're trying to add a little bit more structure to it too, because we are growing. We're definitely now hitting that like hockey stick kind of thing where for like a year we were getting like 300, 400 new accounts per month, which is great.
Yeah.
Happy with that growth. Yeah. And in the past 2 months, we've broken 1,000 new users per month. I think last month we broke like 1,700 new users in 1 month. So it's a little mind blowing, but we're very careful. Like we don't want that to like super change the community, and it can, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're trying to like, we've seen it kind of devolve a little bit. Like, all right, it's getting a little too negative and chattery and like, you know, like there's no focus.
Yep.
And so I know Aaron and Katrina do a lot of work with like, okay, great. How can we have some anchor posts in here?
Wrangle them in.
Let's circle them around these areas. And so I think that we're starting to do that. You'll see that in the group now. And I know one of the things that we do, again, just part of feeling seen and appreciated. I know Ira will do every week. We know like how active people are in their like new accounts. Yeah. And so people that are really putting in the time and like setting up their accounts, like we can kind of see like who are the top 10 most active, you know, people. And so we'll tag them and give them a user boost every week and stuff like that. So like, and that's just like, people always like love that. They're like, oh, wow. Like I didn't like, you know, like that's cool. Like, yeah, I've been working really hard on my account.
Feel like a number. They actually felt like someone was paying attention. Yeah. It just goes to say just how attached or how close you are with your users, even with the growth. You know, you can pinpoint those few people that are showing up and make them feel special. And it's, you know,
and there's a lot of positive things with the growth too. Like I know, you know, Erin started doing like this Fast Action Friday where like last Friday, Dee Woodward, she's the designer. Yeah. And she was giving away like, you know, like short, like a short fast action design templates and stuff like that. Her Membervault account blew up. Like
I was part of that. That was amazing. I thought that was brilliant.
So, and she's so happy because she's like, oh my God, I had so much engagement, and like users are happy because like they got help and they got these. So it's like, there's a lot of positive stuff that comes with this growth if you can channel it the best without being over controlling, right? I think that's the hard part.
Yeah, but the fact that it's on your radar though, I think says a lot as well, because a lot of the times groups get big and out of their control, right? People forget who actually runs the group because it's just completely out of control. But the fact that you guys, that's part of your business plan, you know, it says a lot too, is that you have that in the plan, and that it's not, I mean, you say it's supplemental, but it's really not. It's like, it is part of the business plan. Yeah. and you address the things that need to be addressed as you grow, because things change. If you didn't, it would just be this free-for-all, and then you've completely lost control of your group. So the fact that you're paying attention to that is shows a lot that it's still part of your plan. You know, you're not just gonna like, okay, we're growing, we're good now.
It's important. Our biggest cost isn't software, it isn't any of this stuff. Our biggest cost is customer service. So, you know, paying, and that's a lot of what they're doing. So we have chat support for free accounts too. Like, I don't know many tools that like offer chat support, period, let alone for free accounts that come in too. And we pay a lot for it. Like, it's not cheap, but it's important because to us, the Facebook group, chat support, these are all, as far as I'm concerned, they're leads. Like, you can treat them like Facebook clicks, like Facebook ad clicks. So yes, we don't have an ad budget. Instead, we put that all in the customer service.
Absolutely, 100%.
And so, like, that's where our ad budget goes. So, like, to me, like I don't see Katrina is queen of customer service. She's so good, but I see her as like half a salesperson too.
Right.
You know, without being a salesperson, she's not a salesperson. But I can't even tell you how many accounts that she's probably converted over to paid. Because she's so good at customer service. And like, that's important. So like, just reframing that instead of like looking at customer service as like, hey, this is, or same thing with your Facebook group. Like, instead of looking at it as like, this is just a big money suck. If you reframe that and you're like, this is a sales, like, this is part of where I get leads and nurture them for sales. Like, well, then it's an investment.
Right. Exactly. And I love the fact that it's true. I already thought of that before you said it about your Facebook ad budget. It's like, that's where you're spending your money and your time, and you're actually seeing results. You know, it's the fact that, you know, your customer service is actually talking to people and having them upgrade, and that's measurable. You know? So you're just putting it in a different bucket, and one that, you know, the one that has legs, the one that, you know, if you have such a great customer service experience, right, with anything, you're going to tell people that, and they're going to tell people that, and then that's how you grow so fast and so big. But do you have any other I know that you guys have fun in your group, and that's part of your experience.
Gifts and memes are very important.
Gifts and memes are very important. You know, it's funny because I always say, you know, some people are serious and some people are not. But I would say 99% of Facebook groups that use gifts are the successful ones.
Well, look at, you know, at the top of the call, we talked about, we met in the Screwed 9 to 5 group. And I love that group too. I think they did such a good job of maintaining that as it grew. And I know they had a kid and they were like, pulled the plug on it, because it was like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of unseen work. We won't know even how much work went into curating that, but they did such a good job with keeping that like on point. Right. And, it's just, you know, to me, like, it's just so important.
I was going to say, and just to kind of round this out, is that, you know, a lot of people worry about, you know, my stuff is not being seen, right? Your Facebook group, literally for me, and I'm sure for many others, is one of those pinned groups at the top. And it's not because it's a paid group versus a free group, but it's the experience that I have in there. And I want to go in there every day. I want to see what I didn't miss. And you've kind of, you know, you've bypassed that whole algorithm thought of, you know, are people actually seeing my things? It doesn't matter when people are actually going to your group so that they can see what they didn't miss. And it has nothing to do with free versus paid, because actually you've got both, you know, so you've also proved it. It just shows the experience that people get when they're a part of that community, and it obviously makes your sales so much easier when they can experience that, right? I mean, you're not hustling to get sales. You know,
Yeah.
you've got so many people, other people selling your product in your community, that it makes sales so much easier, which makes you enjoy being in your community. I'm assuming. Is that correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, that's right. And I think that's important to know, like, what your end goal is. Like for us, like it's all about getting users on our platform. Right. And so we don't, like, people like, oh, can I just pay you guys to set up my account? Like, no, because like we would spread ourselves too thin. Like, but we have certified partners. Like there are people that we have trained, like that can do that. And so just knowing, and then, you know, there's a lot of people that are now they're building their business around helping other people build their Membervault. And to me, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
And that's not, they're always like, sometimes they'll email me, is this okay? I'm like, of course it's okay. Like, help as many people get on the Membervault as possible. Like this is the goal. But I mean, and the other thing too, that is, here's where you kind of bump up against it. Here's the uncomfortable conversation that Aaron and I have had too, where like, if growth ever went too bonkers, I don't know, let's say Gary Vaynerchuk tweeted us or something like that, and like, and growth truly was a little out of control, we will shut down new signups and like limit them to like 10 a day or something like that. Like, and that's really weird and uncomfortable to think about, because like, ooh, who would do that? But like, to us, it's more important that the tool stays
the integrity of
good and the community stays good. And it's like, so that's
awesome. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. But that's like, it's a little edgy to say, like, it's so uncapitalistic. Yeah, but when you're
seeing growth numbers the way you are, I mean, why not think in that direction, right?
Yeah. And things are great now. I think that, and part of the community, here's what I love. I know we're over time, but like one of the things I love about the community is that it's helping us scale. Yeah. So our Facebook group is actually helping us scale, because obviously thousands of new users a month that are hitting chat support puts a bigger burden on chat support, which does like lengthen time a little bit of response. And we prioritize pay accounts do get answered first and stuff like that. Right. So, but that is like, if that continues, like, it takes a little bit to hear back from customer support, because we're not just sitting there waiting for questions to come in. Now we have a queue of questions. Right. But the community has actually helped us scale, because people will get a lot of general questions answered first there and will not hit support. Yeah. So in a way, our community, what we have invested in our community is actually saving us customer service and helping us scale without that pain.
Yeah, that's a great point. Oh, I'm so glad you shared that. Okay, so can you share with us where
I'm gonna mic drop from that?
I know, like, wow, that's it. That was it. Share with us where my users can find you. I know that you guys have a podcast as well, but share where we can find you. And you know, I'm like I said in my group, I promote you guys all the time.
Well, yeah. So yeah, join your group, or but remember, I mean, honestly, the best place to start is just go to membervault.co. Just grab a free account. Like we don't spam you. There's no credit card. Like open a free account. You'll automatically get invited to the Facebook group. You'll automatically get like access to our courses. You'll automatically get, and then you have like a little sandbox to play with and go for it, you know? And maybe it works out for you. Maybe it doesn't. Either way, it's a great, you can stay in a collaborative. It's okay. Even if we delete your account, like you're like, I don't want to use this anymore. Sure. But you can stay if you want. Like,
all right. Well, that's very welcoming. And of course that'll be in the show notes, membervault.co, and you'll get everything that you need there, because that's how they've set it up. It's fantastic. All right, Mike, thank you so much for spending this time with me and my listeners. And I'll be in your group cheering you guys on the daily. So thanks again for
Thank
joining
you.
me. All right.